What's up, Net Soldiers? I'm Net Alliance. Today I'm bringing you a new series that follows the events of my What If the Jedi Council Survived Order 66. Now, if you haven't watched it, I recommend checking it out. There's a link at the top of the screen and in the description below. So if you wish to understand this story to its full potential, I cannot stress enough, watch the story's predecessor. It's still considered by many of my fans to be some of my best work, so I hope you like it. And like always, if you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe for more Star Wars videos. But without further ado, let's begin. Sir, we are 24 hours away from the target. Good. Soon the Jedi in the pathetic Republic will feel the wrath of the new Sith Empire. It's been 19 years since Palpatine's fall. The galaxy has since been in a period of peace. Chancellor Bail Organa managed to lead the Republic towards success and prosperity. The Jedi have since rebuilt their temple and have assisted the Republic in its quest for peace. Together, Masters Yoda, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Kenobi have guided the Order for the last 2 decades. Obi-Wan has now mastered the ability to see through the Force, and has even taken on an apprentice of his own. Kenobi still keeps in contact with Anakin and his family. It's just been a while since they actually talked to each other. The Council assembled in their chamber. CAC-10 then listed the status of the off-world Jedi. Masters Tano and Voss have been dispatched to the planet known as Zyos to inspect the Force for any darkness.
Darkness?
Master Shakti commented.
Zyos was once home to an ancient Sith Empire. I feel the planet will forever be covered in darkness.
Darkness is one thing. It's the Darksiders we have to worry about, Ki-Adi-Mundi added.
But the Jedi are stronger than ever.
Master Luminari Unduli said.
Whatever Darksiders rise, they wouldn't stand a chance.
Even still, Master Plo Koon stated, we must stay vigilant.
And stay vigilant, we shall.
Grandmaster Yoda said, scanning the room.
In time of peace, we are. But last how much longer will it?
The council grew quiet, each member pondering the will of the Force. Then, Kenobi spoke up. We'll never promise a tomorrow. That's why we must fight for what we have today. And today, we have peace. Before any of the Jedi could speak, Chancellor Bail Organa came into the chambers escorted by his bodyguard, known as Officer Cody. Before Cody even saw Obi-Wan, Kenobi was on his feet and ready to greet his old friend. Bail walked to the center of the room as Kenobi approached his former commander. Cody, my friend, it's good to see you again. Likewise, Obi-Wan, Cody said, happy to see Obi-Wan but a bit dismayed of his visual injury. I don't think I'll ever get used to that, you Jedi being able to see with no vision. It's just odd to me. It's quite alright, my old friend. Obi-Wan laughed and shook Cody's hand. But come to think of it, I heard you retired. I did, from the military, Cody said with a smirk. I'm not as spry as I once was, and guarding the Republic is a taxing job. So now, I guard the Chancellor. And what about Rex? Kenobi questioned. Ha, are you kidding? Rex will be on the front lines until he falls over dead, Cody joked. And even then there's no promises. Obi-Wan and Rex chuckled amongst themselves. Then, everyone turned their attention to the Chancellor. As you all may know, we have had peace since the fall of the tyrant Palpatine, and although we are not technically in a war, we have been fighting the remnants of the Separatists for over a decade. For although we have captured all the remaining Separatist leaders, the droids continue to invade our planets. But how is this possible? Master Mundi questioned. All of the droid factories that could successfully manufacture them have been destroyed. Yes, that is correct, Master, Bail confirmed. That is why I suppose the culprit is hiding right under our noses. Obi-Wan absorbed Bail's words as he brushed his beard. So you're saying there's a factory on a Republic planet? Precisely. That's why I came to you. If this information would have spread through the Senate, CAC finished Bail's sentence, then the culprit may be warned, and thus have time to cover their tracks. Yes, Organa said.
What planets do you suspect, Chancellor?
Master Unduli questioned. Organa held out 3 data pads. I have narrowed my search to 3 separate planets: Corellia, Lothal, and Naboo. Hearing the name Naboo piqued Kenobi's interest, but worried him at the same time. Bail continued, I've taken the liberty of calling a Senate meeting scheduled noon tomorrow, so while the Senator's attention is turned towards Coruscant, I wish for you to conduct your investigations. CAC used the Force to carry the datapads to his hand. He then began to read the documents to better understand them. After taking a few minutes to converse, the Council chose to accept the task bestowed on them, after which Bail thanked them for their time and left along with Cody. The Jedi discussed the mission further, and Kenobi volunteered to go to Naboo. He planned on doing his duties, but he also missed Anakin, and he saw this as a chance to catch up with his old friend. Master Shakti and Plo Koon were chosen to go to Corellia. Master Luminara and the newest member of the Jedi Council, Master Kanan Jarrus, were chosen to go to Lothal, and Yoda chose to accompany Kenobi to Naboo. And with all their plans in order, the council dismissed, and each Jedi assigned to the mission disembarked for their designated planets. As Yoda and Kenobi's ship flew out of the Coruscant atmosphere, Yoda couldn't help but look back at the massive city planet with sorrow. Obi-Wan could sense Yoda's feelings. Are you alright, Master? Yoda looked at Kenobi.
Bad feeling I have, Obi-Wan.
What do you mean, Master? Yoda peered out the window once more.
Everything I fear is about to change.
We are 20 hours from the target. Control yourself, Luke. An older Anakin Skywalker commanded his son. As Luke and Leia sparred with their training sabers, you don't want to let your anger control you. Luke took a moment to regain his breath. Yeah, I know, Dad. Well, if you know, why are you doing it? Dad, Luke said, I got this, okay? Anakin chose to go silent, for he wanted to prove a point to his son. For after all, what would Anakin know anything about dueling? Besides the fact that he was one of the greatest warriors to ever live, of course. Still, he remained silent and let his son's anger get the best of him. And Leia managed to take her brother down easily.
Ha! I win again.
Leia said, high-fiving her father. Hey, that wasn't fair. She cheated. We said no cheap shots. Anakin then stepped in. Luke, on the battlefield, cheap shots don't exist. You live or you die. It's up to you to decide which path you'll take. Much like whether you'll choose the path of the light or the dark. You can't let your anger control you. It's not good. Trust me on that. Luke took his father's words of wisdom and placed his lightsaber hilt on his belt, just as Padme came to meet them.
How is training going?
Anakin kissed his beautiful wife. Great, as always, hon. Leia hugged her mother.
No, Luke's just being a baby.
Luke scowled at his sister as she ran towards the house. That's it, you're done, he claimed, chasing behind her. Anakin and Padme had a quick chuckle as their children ran for the house. Anakin then turned towards his wife. She clearly had something on her mind. What's wrong, Padme?
I've been called to Coruscant.
What? Anakin questioned. Why?
I don't know, Anakin. Chancellor Organa has called an emergency assembly.
She stated.
You know how the senator life works.
Anakin wasn't too pleased to see his wife leave all the time. He knew she was the senator of Naboo, but coming in less than a year, she could finally retire. And then, she wouldn't have to leave anymore. Anakin's only means of existence is keeping his family safe, and without them, life would be without purpose. So, when do you leave?
I head out in an hour. Like I said, it's urgent.
An hour passes and Anakin, Luke, and Leia see their mother off.
I love you all so much,
Padme said, kissing her children on their foreheads. Then, she kissed her husband on the lips one last time.
Don't worry, guys. I'll be back soon.
She walked up the shuttle's ramp and took one last look at her beautiful family. Then, moments later, her shuttle took off into the sunset. Later that night, Anakin woke up in the Jedi Academy on Coruscant. He didn't know how he got there, but he could feel a dark presence. It was then people began screaming and running in fear. Anakin ran to a nearby balcony overlooking the Coruscant skyline. Humongous flames began to sweep over the massive buildings as he looked to the right to see Padme. She was only a few feet away from him. Padme? She looked at him, tears flooding her eyes.
Anakin?
Padme, Anakin said, running towards her. Anakin came within a few feet from her as a wall of power consumed them both. Padme! It was then Anakin woke up, and he realized it was all just a nightmare. He stood from his bed and headed out his bedroom door. Anakin then walked outside his villa and made his way through the forest, coming across the entrance of a cave. He entered and made his way to a nearby rock.
What troubles you, my son?
A voice said from the cave. Anakin sat on a rock and closed his eyes. I don't really know, Master. I just have this strange feeling, like the Force is trying to tell me something.
If the Force speaks, all you must do is listen.
I'm trying, Master, Anakin said, adjusting his position on the rock. I've been following your advice ever since we reconnected years ago. I believe in the living Force, but this feels different. The voice spoke again.
This feeling you have, Anakin. Do you fear it?
I don't fear it, Anakin said, shaking his head, but it's something I feel that should be acknowledged.
Then meditate on your feelings, Anakin,
the voice instructed.
If the Force is truly speaking to you, and it isn't just in your mind, then you must focus your senses. Believing in the living Force can mean the difference between life and death.
Anakin stood to his feet and bowed to the voice. I'll do more meditating on this. Hopefully I can figure out if this is just a feeling or something more.
Very well. Until next time, Anakin, may the Force be with you.
Anakin turned his head back towards the voice as he made his way out of the cave. Thank you, Master. And may the Force be with you too, Qui-Gon. 14 hours till the target. Jedi Master Quinlan Vos slashed a battle droid down as he led his troops against their clanker foes. This Republic army was no longer just clones. This army was Republic men and women, all fighting for the same purpose: for peace. Since the fall of the Tyrant Palpatine and the destruction of the Separatists, peace has been very close throughout the galaxy. And due to there being no official war, many of the clones were not needed in the line of duty, and so, many were given the choice to become a civilian. And vice versa, civilians were encouraged to join the military. And now, almost 2 decades later, the Republic military contains more non-clones than actual clones. But, due to the clone troops' accelerated growth rate, many have retired, but not all. "Captain!" a trooper called as he and his platoon were being surrounded. "Where's the captain?" Another soldier responded. "I don't know. He left us." "He left us?" the first troop questioned. "Ha! War hero my ass!" "What was that, Private?" a voice said from behind them. Both soldiers turned to see Rex landing after using his jetpack. "I don't ever leave my squad. Now keep fighting." Vos and his troops were making their way to reconnect with Rex's squad. However, slowly Rex's platoon was being shot down one by one. And if Quinlan doesn't reach them soon, they'll all be goners. Moments later, 4 Magna Guards arrived on the battlefield, staring Rex down. "Oh great, these guys again." The Magna Guards charged Rex, swinging their electrostaffs at him. Rex dodged under the one droid's staff and shot the next one in the chest. He then used his jetpack to fly over the other 2 and shot both in the chest as well. As he landed, the droids charged him again, smacking him in the chest with one of their staffs. As he fell back, he shot 2 more shots into one of the 4 droids, connecting with the chest and the head, destroying both motivators, causing the Magna Guard to fall to the ground, lifeless. It was then, another Magna Guard smacked the blaster pistol from his hand, and knocked off the old clone's helmet as the 2 other guards stood beside it. The droid lifted the staff, and prepared to finish Rex off. But suddenly, a massive force push knocked the 3 Magna Guards back, and a figure leaped to Rex's side.
"You okay, old timer?"
she said, as Rex realized who it was. "It's about time, Tano," Rex said, as Ahsoka helped him to his feet. "Always right on time, just like Skywalker used to do." She smiled as she wielded her lightsabers.
"Well, I learned from the best."
It was then Ahsoka and Rex leaped into action, making short work of the Magna Guards. And while they took down the advanced droids, upon a nearby hill, a droid tank aimed for the Jedi and the Captain Clone. Luckily, Ahsoka sensed it coming and used the Force to put a force bubble around her and Rex. The bubble was able to hold the explosion at bay. However, the ground beneath them began to crumble from the shockwave, and both Rex and Ahsoka fell into the planet's surface. As they began to freefall into pitch black darkness, Rex looked over to see Ahsoka unconscious. It appeared that although she held the blast off from killing them, the impact was still very overwhelming, and it ended up knocking her out. Thinking quick, Rex used his boosters on his jetpack to slow their descent, grabbing Ahsoka at the same time. He slowly brought them both to the bottom of the chasm, and ignited one of Ahsoka's lightsabers so he could see better through the darkness. "Ahsoka!" Rex said, shaking her limp body. But nothing happened. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She was dead. Rex pulled off his helmet and started giving Ahsoka CPR, and within seconds, she began to breathe again. She opened her eyes to see Rex leaning over her with a small tear running down his cheek.
"Rex?"
she said, looking at him confused.
"What are you doing?"
Rex helped Ahsoka to her feet and handed her lightsaber back. "I was, saving your life."
"And here I thought you just wanted a kiss."
she said with a smirk. "Wait, what?" Rex said, blushing. "Ahsoka, I'm twice your age." Ahsoka turned around and looked at their surroundings, using the lightsaber's green hue to illuminate the cavern.
"I was just kidding, Rex.
She said, snickering.
And technically speaking, I'm older than you."
Rex smiled back at Ahsoka. "Huh, well I guess you're right. Who's the old timer now?" It was then she felt a strange tremor in the Force as Voss's voice came over Rex's wrist communicator. "You both okay down there?" "Roger that," Rex said. "We'll be up in just a moment." The captain then turned around to see Ahsoka going deeper into the cavern. "Ahsoka, where are you going?" Rex questioned, falling after her.
"I feel something, Rex. It's calling me."
Ahsoka led Rex into a smaller corridor as things became a little more clear to them. This wasn't a cave they fell into, it was an ancient Sith temple. And in the center of the room sat a glowing red pyramid.
It's an ancient Sith holocron,"
Ahsoka said, walking closer. "That looks like bad news, Ahsoka. Don't touch it." She got closer to the artifact, ignoring her captor's wishes.
"I think this is what the droids are here for, to get this."
She grabbed the holocron and placed it in her bag.
"We'll have to get this back to Master Yoda and the Council. Perhaps they'll know what to do."
"Are you sure about this?" Ahsoka came to Rex's side, slinging the bag over her back.
Well, the way I see it, if the droids are actually here for this, then it means that it's powerful, and if it's that powerful, it's better off in our hands.
Rex placed his helmet on his head and wrapped Tano in his arms. Well, I hope you'll ride, Ahsoka. His jetpack's boosters then ignited as both heroes began to fly out of the Dark Temple.
Yeah,
She said,
me too.
"8 hours till the target." Masters Plo Koon and Shaak Ti landed on Corellia. The streets were packed with thousands of inhabitants. The sky filled with hundreds of ships. It was as if they never left Coruscant at all.
I feel that we took the wrong assignment.
Master Shaak Ti said,
I haven't been to Naboo in years. It would have been nice to visit.
"I know the feeling. These great cities can grow old, but I would not want to go to Naboo," Plo Koon replied. They made their way down the busy streets.
It's because of Skywalker, isn't it?
Plo Koon said nothing as he continued to walk down the street. She pursued the conversation.
It's been nearly 2 decades, Plo. And if it wasn't for him, we all may be dead.
"If it wasn't for him, I'd still have my arm." Plo Koon snapped back, raising his cybernetic hand in front of her face. He may have redeemed himself in the eyes of many of the Jedi, but to me, he's still Vader. Shaak Ti pulled Plo Koon aside, away from the crowd.
You act as though Skywalker was responsible for what Palpatine did. Besides, Anakin and his children paid the price and were banished from the Order and its teachings. You know that.
Plo Koon adjusted his cybernetic arm. "Well, if you ask me, he should have been locked up for life." Shaak Ti turned away from her fellow Jedi.
Well, no one asked you. Now come on, we have a mission to do.
Both Jedi made their way down a back alley and eventually into a Corellian cantina. Shaak Ti led Plo Koon inside, where the scum of Corellia hung out. "What are we doing here?" Plo questioned.
We're visiting my contact.
Shaak Ti replied. "Contact?" he questioned. "We were the only ones who were supposed to know about this."
Well, if we are to find anything, we should at least know where to start looking, right?
Plo Koon didn't know if he agreed with her decision, but he knew Shaak Ti was no fool, so he decided to trust her judgment. They began to walk through the cantina, slowly peering around at the scum and villainy that surrounded them. They were then approached by a green Rodian. He spoke in his native tongue. "Oh, Master Jedi, we expect you, we do,"
Hello. I am Shaak Ti, and this is my companion, Plo Koon.
she said, still trying to piece together the Rodian's language.
Are you the scoundrel?
The Rodian began to snicker to himself. "You see what you are, miss? We are Scoundrel here, but my name is Greedo." He continued to laugh amongst himself as he led Shaak Ti and Plo Koon into the back room. As they entered the circular room, they realized the room was poorly lit, with a single light shining down from the ceiling in the center of the room. "What you bring me, Greedo?" a voice asked from the darkness. "The Jedi, sir. They here for you," the man said, coming closer to the light. Shaak Ti looked at the silhouette.
I am looking for the scoundrel.
"The Scoundrel, huh?"
Yes. Are you him?
"The Scoundrel is just a title," the man said, finally stepping into the light. "But for a pretty lady like you, the name's Han Solo." Shaak Ti brushed the compliment aside.
Well, it's nice to meet you, Mr. Solo, but a friend of yours said you could help.
Han thought for a moment, gathering his thoughts. Then it finally hit him. "Oh yeah, I remember now. The pretty little green Twi'lek, Hera, yeah. Yeah, we go way back." It was then Shaak Ti could smell the liquor on his breath.
Are you drunk?
Han chuckled. "Me? Drunk?" "It's possible." Plo Koon then stepped in. "If you're drunk, how are you going to be able to help us?" "Because, my friend," Han said, placing his hand on Greedo's shoulder, "the only thing that gets me and my pal Greedo here sober is credits." "And how can we trust you with our credits?" "Look," Han said, creeping towards the Jedi, slowly stumbling over his own feet. "You're in Corellia. Corellia is my planet. I know the ins and the outs of everything and everyone." Plo Koon leaned toward Shaak Ti. "This guy reminds me of a hut,"
Yeah,
she whispered back.
only slimier.
"So," Han said, ignoring their comment, "moral of the story, I'm your only shot." The Jedi weren't happy, but if Han was really the person he said he was, it would make their job a lot easier.
Okay, scoundrel. You have a deal, but no funny business.
"Funny business? Me? Of course not," Han said, as both Jedi were tased from behind and knocked out. As they fell to the ground, he stood over their bodies. "No funny business starting now, that is." "1 hour till the target." On Lothal, Jedi Masters Kanan Jarrus and Luminara Unduli sliced through a squad of droids, quickly turning the droids into heaps of scrap metal. "Well, Kanan said, dispatching the last droid. I guess we're on the right track. The Jedi hopped on their speeders and headed towards the nearby town. As they left the scene, a person in an old clone helmet hopped on his own speeder and began to follow them. He kept his distance and believed himself to be quite stealthy. Jarrus and Unduli turned into a nearby canyon, and the man followed them. As he entered the canyon, he looked around for the Jedi, keeping his speed low so he wouldn't be seen. But then, all of a sudden, he felt an invisible gust of wind push him from his speeder. As he hit the ground, his helmet flew from his head, and a blue lightsaber met him only a few inches away. Who are you? Why are you following us? Kanan said, holding the blade to the stranger's neck. Stop! Hold on! The follower pleaded. It was then Kanan realized that this man was barely even a man at all. He was a teenager. You still haven't answered my question, kid. Who are you? The boy looked up to the Jedi with fear in his eyes. My name's Ezra Bridger. You two are Jedi, right? Luminara helped Ezra to his feet. Well, she said, looking to Kanan to whip up a good excuse. For although the Jedi didn't want to lie to the boy, they were on a secret mission, and so no one's supposed to know. Kanan said, we're not Jedi, we're, Ezra raised an eyebrow. If you're trying to lie to me, you're not doing a very good job of it. I mean, come on. I just saw you guys using the Force on those droids back there. Luminara then looked at Kanan again, still expecting a good lie to bail them out. Well, Kanan said, thinking of his excuse. It was, the wind? Ezra folded his arms and glared at Kanan. The wind, huh? Well, explain the lightsabers then. Kanan looked at his saber, then at Luminara, then back to Ezra. Well, touche, kid. You're right. We're Jedi. So you are Jedi. I knew it. I could sense it. Sense it? Luminara questioned. Yeah, he said. Before my parents died, I always had a strange feeling, or like a connection or whatever. But after their deaths, I found a journal that belonged to my mother. And in that journal, she wrote about how I was born Force sensitive. If she knew you were Force sensitive, why did she contact the Jedi? Master Unduli questioned. She was scared for me. It was right around the same time the tyrant Palpatine was killed by the Skywalker. Luminara and Kanan looked at each other confused. The Skywalker? Is that what the kids call Anakin these days? Yep, Ezra confirmed. He's been my idol my entire life. I was hoping that either of you were him. Well, as you can see, we're not him, kid. Kanan said, walking away. Now, we gotta go. We have important business. Now, Ezra was a smart kid. He knew exactly why the Jedi were here on Lothal, and he used his assumed knowledge to do what he had to do. If you're wondering where these droids are coming from, I think I can help you. Kanan stopped in his tracks and turned back towards Ezra. Fine, kid. Let's hear it. Ezra then explained that there was odd droid activity south from them, and although Kanan and Luminara just met Ezra, they decided to give him a chance, and all three Force wielders headed south. When they arrived at their destination, they watched from a distance. What are they doing? Kanan said, peering through his binoculars. The droids were moving what seemed to be a massive rectangular stone. What is that? Unduli questioned. I think it's like a coffin, Ezra said, squinting his eyes. How do you know? Kanan asked. I have a lot of free time here, Ezra said, smirking. I've been all over these hills, and I've seen inside that cave where they got that thing from. I remember that coffin. Kanan looked towards the droids again. No, that doesn't make any sense. What would they want with an old coffin? I don't know, Ezra said. That cave is like an ancient tomb or something like that. Who knows what they're planning? Jarrus nodded to Illuminara. It doesn't matter what they're planning. Whatever the case, the council needs to know about it now. I'm on it, she claimed, grabbing her holo communicator and walking several feet away. Ezra and Kanan chilled near the speeders while she attempted to make a connection. Luminara walked to a nearby boulder and was about to make a call, but suddenly, she heard a noise. A noise she hasn't heard for many years. It sounded like a droid's hinges, but bigger and stronger. A sound that only a few Jedi who actually fought in the Clone Wars could even recognize. For if you were to ever hear that dreaded sound, you were already a goner. No, she said under her breath. That's impossible. He's dead. She wielded her lightsaber and turned back towards the boys. Kanan! Ezra! Run! They were caught off guard as they looked to see what appeared to be a super advanced droid wielding 4 lightsabers landing behind her. She attempted to defend herself, but this monster was too quick, and in a split second, Luminara Unduli was cut down. It then looked towards Kanan and Ezra, using one of its arms to pick up Unduli's fallen saber. Kanan and Ezra slowly backed up to their speeders and took off. The monster watched as his yellow cat-like eyes followed them into the horizon.
You can run, but you cannot hide, Jedi scum.
My lord, we have arrived. Good. Now, we make this pathetic republic kneel. On Naboo, Masters Obi-Wan and Yoda have arrived at Anakin's villa. They walk to the front door. Perhaps we should have called first, Kenobi joked as he knocked on the door. Moments later, Luke answered the door. He looked at the older blind man, then at the little green alien. Can I help you? Hello there, Kenobi said, nodding to the boy. My name is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this is my colleague, Master Yoda.
Nice to meet you. It is.
Yoda said, smiling. Wait, did you say Obi-Wan and Yoda? Luke asked with his eyes widening. Holy Wookiee spit! You guys are legends! Obi-Wan and Yoda were caught off guard for a moment. So you know of us? Yeah, Luke confirmed. You fought with my father in the Clone Wars. Ah, okay, Obi-Wan said. So you must be the Luke I heard so much about. Yeah, that's me. Are you guys here to see my dad?
Yes, correct you are.
Luke invited both Jedi inside and went to get his father. Kenobi and Yoda sat upon the furniture and looked at each other. Do you sense that too, Master?
The boy. Been training, he has. And his sister too, I'm sure.
I could feel it too, Kenobi said, crossing his arms. Anakin's been training them, even though he's been forbidden to do so.
Same old Skywalker, he is.
It was then Anakin entered the room, gazing upon his old allies. Obi-Wan? Yoda? He said, surprised by their presence. It's been years. How are you guys? The trio caught up on some old news and some current events, and after a while, Kenobi informed Anakin on the reason why they were actually there in the first place. A droid factory? On Naboo? Skywalker stated. Yeah, I'm sorry, Masters, but I think you guys wasted your time. There's no way Naboo could ever have a droid factory. Trust me. Padme would have put a stop to that a long time ago. Kenobi and Yoda were glad to hear Naboo was clear, but with that matter out of the way, they decided to talk to Anakin about his children. Kenobi didn't really know how to approach the situation, so he decided just to leap right on in. Anakin, Kenobi said, have you been training Luke and Leia in the ways of the Force? Anakin looked at Kenobi, surprised by his former master's bluntness. And although a part of Anakin did want to lie, he decided to give in because he knew these guys already knew the truth. Yes, I have. Yoda looked at the ground in disapproval as Obi-Wan continued. But Anakin, why? You know you've been exiled and your children forbidden. Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan, Anakin said, standing to his feet. They're my children, and I choose to raise them however I please. And I want them to be ready for anything. Ready for anything? Kenobi questioned. What do you mean by that? Yoda finally stepped in.
Fear you have. Coming. Something is.
Anakin looked at Yoda confused. Wait a second. You felt it too. Back on the busy city of Coruscant, the bright morning grew dark in seconds. The inhabitants looked to the sky to see a moon in front of the sun, causing the sky to turn blood red. Padme walked to the deck of the Senate building and peered up at the sky. For a moment, it seemed as though all of Coruscant was silent. Not even a peep could be heard, for all of Coruscant were caught off guard by the sudden eclipse. Padme grabbed her communicator and called her husband. Anakin picked it up as Luke and Leia entered the room. Hey Padme, what's going on? On their video chat, Anakin could barely make Padme out, for her surroundings were near pitch black.
I don't know,
Padme said with panic in her voice.
Anakin, something's not right.
Wait, what do you mean? Padme, I can barely see you, Anakin said, sitting down on a chair.
There's something blocking the sun, Anakin. I don't know what it is.
Something's blocking the sun? Anakin repeated, causing Kenobi and Yoda to become confused. Padme, you're not making any sense. It was then, Coruscant's billions of screens went blank. From the personal comm tablets to the biggest billboards, the bright and colorful pixels and the holograms went black. And then, a figure appeared, draped in a black cloak. Luke turned on his holo-terminal to see his station had been hacked, and it revealed the figure as well. It appeared that all around the galaxy, trillions of devices were broadcasting this being. And that meant trillions of people were watching the same broadcast too. Finally, after a few seconds, the figure spoke. People of the Republic, I have come to save you, for no longer shall you be victims of your pathetic Senate. From this moment on, the Republic is no more, and thus, from its ashes, a new order has risen, the Empire, and I, its Emperor. The figure removed his hood, and everyone in the room gasped. Anakin, Obi-Wan said, fixing his eye cover. What's going on? Leia looked at the Zabrak on the holo-terminal, then to her father. Dad? Who is that? Anakin looked back at his allies. It's Maul. Maul's broadcast continued. And for those who do not kneel to your Emperor, there will be grave consequences, as Coruscant is about to feel. Padme looked around to see many captivated beings, all still confused. Some were frightened, some were angry, and even some found humor in the situation, believing it all to be just one big joke. Maul continued once more. Allow me to make this very clear. To stand against me is to die. I am your emperor, and you all will bow. Suddenly, Maul's transmission cut out, and Padme could see Anakin again. That's when Anakin remembered his dream. He remembered the wall of flames engulfing the planet. It was all Maul's fault. Padme, he said with haste, you have to get off Coruscant now. Padme looked confused.
Anakin, what are you talking about?
Anakin pressured more. Padme, you have to find a shuttle and get out of there now.
Anakin,
Before Padme could even finish her sentence, the massive moon began to glow green. She looked up to the eclipse, trying to understand what's going on. Then, in a split second, a massive beam cut through the Coruscant atmosphere and crashed into the planet, creating a massive wall of flames and destruction that began to shake the entire planet to its core. The massive towers began to fall into the inhabitants below. The ships in the blast radius were immediately disintegrated. Wherever the blast hit, death followed. Padme looked at the wall of death as it came faster and faster. She was scared mostly because there was nothing she could do. She looked at her husband through the communicator one last time. As the flames came only feet away, with her soft voice, she slipped out one last word.
Anakin?